Lauren sat across from Amanda in the cozy corner booth of their favorite cafe, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. She wore a faint smile, the kind that lingered after laughing at one of Amanda's stories, but her eyes looked far away. Amanda noticed, leaning in a little, sensing her friends need to talk. "All right, what's going on with you and Mark?" Amanda asked, giving her that knowing look. Lauren sighed, setting her spoon down. Everything is fine. He's a good husband. We've been married, almost 7 years now." She paused, her fingers tracing patterns on the edge of her mug. "But sometimes I feel like there should be more, More?" Amanda echoed, her eyebrow lifting. She'd heard similar stories from friends before. Like adventure? Passion? Lauren nodded slowly. "Exactly. It's like we're just comfortable. Mark thinks everything is perfect. But I need something that feels exciting again." Amanda's eyes sparkled with interest. "Well, I've been trying something new myself." She lowered her voice and leaned in conspiratorially. "Ever thought about opening things up a bit? Giving yourself space to explore? Other people?" Lauren's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you serious?" "Completely." Amanda nodded with enthusiasm. "My husband and I talked about it, and it's honestly helped us. Just a little freedom to be ourselves, to feel that thrill again. It doesn't have to mean anything serious, just permission to breathe a bit. And honestly, it's made us closer." Lauren considered this a hint of nervous excitement mixing with doubt. "But how do you even bring that up? Mark would never expect that from me. He'd think I've lost my mind." "Just be honest," Amanda said gently. "Tell him how you feel. It's not about him. It's about you. And who knows? Maybe he'll be open to it. A little change could be just what you two need." Lauren took a deep breath, glancing out the window. She didn't realize that this one conversation, this one decision to open a door, was about to change her marriage and her life forever. Lauren leaned in closer to Amanda, her voice a soft whisper over the hum of the cafe. "So how exactly do you even start a conversation like this?" she asked, her eyes a mix of excitement and nervousness. Amanda smiled, her gaze steady. "Honestly, you just have to be direct. Men appreciate it more than we think. And if you tiptoe around it, he'll get confused or suspicious." Lauren's brow furrowed. "But what if he thinks I don't love him anymore?" Amanda shook her head. No, it's not like that. You're not rejecting him. You're sharing your feelings. Be real with him, Lauren. Tell him how much you love him, but also that you need a little freedom to feel alive again. If you frame it right, he'll see that this is about you needing growth, not about him not being enough." Lauren let out a slow breath, nodding. "All right, so I tell him I want to feel more free, more alive. And maybe he'll understand that it's not just about us." She bit her lip. "But Mark's never been the type to go for anything unconventional. He's all about stability." Amanda gave her a reassuring pat on the hand. "If he loves you, Lauren, he'll listen. And honestly, if he's supportive, that's your answer right there. It shows that he's willing to work with you, even if it's a little unusual. Just trust him and yourself." The next evening, Lauren sat across from Mark at their dining room table, feeling her heart pound as she went over her words in her head one more time. She finally took a deep breath and started. "Mark, there's something I've been thinking about," she began, her voice steady but soft. Mark looked up, giving her his full attention. "What's on your mind, Lauren?" She paused, gathering her courage. "I've been feeling, a little restless. Not because of us, really, but because of me. I feel like I need to experience more in life, Mark listened quietly, his expression thoughtful, but he didn't interrupt. "I guess," Lauren continued, "I've been wondering what it would be like if we, gave each other a little freedom in our marriage. To explore things we haven't explored before." She looked at him carefully, hoping to see understanding in his face. "It's not that I don't love you, Mark. I just feel like we might both benefit from a little room to breathe." Mark was silent for a long moment, his face unreadable. Then he nodded slowly, his gaze calm. "So, you want us to open things up?" he asked, his voice steady. Lauren nodded, her heart racing. "Just for a while, just to see what it's like. I think it would be good for us." Mark considered her, his gaze unfaltering. "I see," he replied, his voice soft but firm. Well, if that's what you need, Lauren, I won't stand in your way. Lauren felt a wave of relief, but also a flicker of unease. His reaction was so calm, so controlled, she'd half expected him to protest, maybe even argue. But here he was, calmly agreeing to her proposal without a hint of anger. Mark leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms as he looked at her. So, this freedom, he said carefully, a faint edge in his voice that Lauren couldn't quite place. I take it this would be a two-way street, for both of us? Lauren hesitated. She hadn't thought much about Mark's side of it. She'd assumed he would be content to let her explore. But now, looking at him, she felt a strange pang of worry. Well, yes, I guess if that's what you want too. Mark nodded again, his gaze steady. I appreciate that, Lauren, and I think I understand what you're asking for. He let out a slow breath, then met her eyes. I'm fine with it. I want you to be happy after all. Lauren forced a smile, trying to ignore the unease creeping into her chest. She'd expected resistance, maybe even an argument. Instead, she was left with Mark's calm acceptance, and the hint that he intended to take this agreement seriously, perhaps even in ways she hadn't anticipated. Thank you, Mark, she said, her voice soft. That means a lot. Mark offered her a small smile, but something in his gaze made her stomach twist. She didn't know why, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd somehow lost control of this plan, or that Mark's calm reaction hid something she wasn't prepared for. A few days later, Lauren and Amanda found themselves stepping into the pulsing lights and thumping music of a downtown nightclub. It was packed, filled with people laughing, talking, and dancing under the flashing lights. The air was electric, and Lauren could feel her nerves and excitement tangling together. Amanda grinned, giving her a playful nudge. You're finally here. How does it feel? She asked over the music. Lauren laughed, but her voice was a little shaky. Honestly, I'm still processing everything. I told Mark, and he agreed. No arguing, no anger. He was just so calm. Amanda raised an eyebrow. Wow, he sounds pretty open-minded. See? I told you he'd understand if you were honest. Lauren nodded, trying to feel reassured. Yeah, he did. He just felt strange. I almost thought he'd push back, but he just accepted it. Even said he wanted me to be happy. She paused, a frown crossing her face. But it was like he was a little too calm about it. Amanda chuckled. Probably because he's excited about it, too. Guys like to act all cool. But he's probably already thinking about his own possibilities. Trust me, this will be good for both of you. Lauren tried to shake off her worry. She smiled and took a deep breath. So, what about you? Does your husband know you're out here with me tonight? A flash of hesitation crossed Amanda's face, but she quickly shrugged it off, waving a hand dismissively. Oh, he's out on some hiking trip with his friends. We have an understanding, remember? No questions. Just trust. Lauren narrowed her eyes. Her curiosity piqued. You mean he doesn't ask where you go or who you're with? Amanda laughed lightly, taking Lauren's hand as they navigated through the crowd toward the bar. Come on, Lauren. Honesty is important, sure, but that doesn't mean he needs every little detail. It's about freedom, remember? Lauren felt a twinge of doubt. She thought honesty was part of the deal Amanda had described, but Amanda's confidence was infectious. Before she could dwell on it, Amanda ordered them cocktails, raising hers in a toast. To freedom, and to a new adventure. Lauren clinked her glass with Amanda's, taking a long sip. The cocktails were sweet and strong, and soon enough, the edge of her nerves softened, leaving her feeling light and carefree. They made their way to the dance floor, laughing as they let the music take over. After a while, Lauren felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see a familiar face. Charlie, a colleague she'd known for years, but had always seen only in the professional light of the office. Here, under the flashing lights, and with a mischievous smile on his face, he looked different. Charming, even a little dangerous. Lauren, didn't expect to see you here, he said, grinning. Lauren returned the smile, feeling a thrill she hadn't felt in years. I could say the same for you. Charlie introduced his friend to Amanda, and soon, the four of them were talking and laughing, the night feeling more and more exhilarating with each passing minute. They ordered another round of drinks, and before long, Lauren found herself fully immersed in the night, dancing, laughing, feeling completely alive. Eventually, the two pairs began to drift apart, each couple finding their own way through the crowd. Lauren and Charlie ended up in a quiet corner, their conversation softer, more personal. Charlie leaned in, his voice warm. "This is different," he said, his eyes on her. "I've never seen this side of you." Lauren felt a spark in her chest, an excitement that was half nerves, half curiosity. "I guess I'm feeling different tonight," she said softly, looking back at him. They locked eyes, and in that instant the decision felt simple, almost natural. Before she knew it, they had left the club and were walking together, their laughter filling the night air, until they arrived at a small, quiet motel on the edge of town. Neither of them hesitated as they entered. For Lauren, it was a night unlike any she had experienced, the thrill and freedom she had been seeking finally within reach. In the morning, as the sun streamed in through the window, Lauren's excitement began to fade, replaced by a strange mix of satisfaction and lingering unease. She dressed quietly, glancing over at Charlie as he slept. The adventure she'd sought had arrived, but as she left the motel, she couldn't shake the thought of Mark and that calm, unreadable look in his eyes. Before you find out what happens next, please subscribe to the channel. That morning, Lauren slipped quietly through the front door, careful not to make any noise. The house was empty and still. She frowned, glancing around. Usually Mark would be up by now, at least having coffee before heading out. A wave of nervousness prickled through her. She checked the bedroom, the kitchen, even the backyard, but Mark was nowhere to be found. Feeling a little anxious, she pulled out her phone and dialed his number. He picked up after a few rings, his voice calm but brisk. "Hey Lauren," he said. "What's up?" "Mark, where are you?" she asked, relieved just to hear his voice. "At the office. There's a new project I'm working on, and it's going to take a lot of hours, at least for the next few weeks. I might even be tied up this weekend." Lauren felt herself relax, a slight pang of guilt mingling with the relief. "Oh, all right. I just didn't see you this morning, and, I was wondering." "Everything's fine," Mark reassured her. "Just busy. I'll be home by dinner." She exhaled, feeling her heart settle. "Okay, take it easy, all right?" Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and cast a warm glow through the living room windows, Lauren heard Mark's footsteps as he came through the door. She greeted him with a smile as he walked in, setting his briefcase down by the entryway. "Long day?" she asked, meeting his tired smile with one of her own. He nodded. "You could say that." He moved to the kitchen and started pouring himself a glass of water. Lauren watched him carefully, unsure how to start but eager to get a read on his feelings. She decided to ease into it. "So, how are you feeling about, everything?" she asked, keeping her voice light. He looked over his glass at her, one eyebrow lifting slightly. "Everything?" he repeated. She gave him a sheepish smile. "This open marriage idea. Are you getting anything out of it?" Mark set down his glass, his expression thoughtful. "Honestly, Lauren, I haven't had time to think about it," he replied, his tone even. "This project is taking up every second. Maybe when things calm down a bit, I'll have more time to think about that side of things." Lauren tried to hide her disappointment, but she forced a smile. "Oh, I guess that makes sense." Mark shrugged. "But enough about me," he said, his gaze steady on her. "What about you? You and Amanda had a night out, didn't you?" Lauren felt her pulse quicken, and for a moment she thought about telling him what had happened with Charlie, but instead she decided it was best to keep it vague. "Yeah, just had some drinks, danced a bit, and then I ended up back at Amanda's place. Nothing too wild," she said, hoping her voice sounded casual. Mark watched her with an unreadable expression. "And? How do you feel about it all? Is this really what you wanted?" Lauren hesitated, but the words came out before she could filter them. "Actually, yeah, I feel good, Mark. I know it's early, but it's like I have this new energy, this inspiration that I hadn't felt in a long time." Mark's eyes flickered with something she couldn't quite place. He gave her a calm smile, nodding slowly. Well, I'm happy for you, Lauren, he said, his tone soft. Really? She returned his smile, feeling a mix of relief and excitement. But somewhere in the back of her mind, his calmness nagged at her. She'd been so certain he'd have something more to say, or maybe even push back. But Mark's calm acceptance left her feeling both satisfied and, strangely, a little unsettled. Over the next week, Lauren found herself texting both Charlie and Amanda almost constantly. Charlie was charming, flirtatious, and didn't hold back in his excitement over their last night together. He told her he'd planned something special for the weekend, a grown-up party as he called it, hinting that it would be a night she'd never forget, and he insisted she bring Amanda along. Intrigued, Lauren agreed, but decided she should talk to Amanda first. Lauren picked up her phone and dialed Amanda. She felt the same nervous excitement she'd felt all week, but talking through the weekend's plans with Amanda seemed like the best way to calm her nerves. Amanda picked up on the first ring. Hey, Lauren, getting ready for tomorrow? Lauren laughed, but there was a trace of hesitation in her voice. Sort of. Actually, I wanted to ask you about it. Charlie keeps talking about this party and he made it sound different. Oh, it'll be different, all right, Amanda said with a chuckle. Charlie's party is going to be incredible. Right, Lauren hesitated, then added. But there's also Mark. I mean, he's been so distant lately, buried in work, and I just can't tell if he's actually okay with all this, or if he's just, I don't know, too distracted to care. Amanda laughed. Oh, Lauren, trust me, Mark is probably just using work as an excuse to avoid telling you he's having his own fun. Men are like that. They hate admitting they've got their own plans. Lauren felt a small pang of jealousy at the thought, but she tried to brush it off. Maybe you're right. I guess I just wish he'd at least give me some reaction. Listen, Amanda said confidently. You need to relax. Forget about Mark's work for a night and focus on the fun. Charlie's party is going to be the perfect escape. Lauren's curiosity got the better of her. All right, I'll try to. But, Amanda, when you say fun, what do you mean exactly? Oh, let's just say you'll probably pick up a few new terms. Amanda replied, a hint of mischief in her voice. Like, Milk Brothers, or the Captain's Wheel. Lauren blinked, both intrigued and a little embarrassed. The Captain's Wheel? What is that? Amanda laughed. Oh, you'll see. Let's just say it involves a few extra people. Just get ready for an unforgettable night. Lauren's excitement grew as she hung up, and any remaining nerves melted away. This was the kind of adventure she'd been craving. When Saturday arrived, Lauren told Mark she'd be out with Amanda for the evening, framing it as a casual girls' night. Mark glanced up from his work papers and offered her a distracted smile. Have fun, Lauren. Don't worry about me. I'll be here all night with this project. She felt a mix of relief and satisfaction. All right, just don't work too hard. Okay? Mark nodded. Enjoy yourself, he said calmly, barely looking up. As Lauren left, a thrill of excitement bubbled up in her chest. She was finally stepping into something new and exhilarating, and Mark's calm acceptance felt like a sign that things were falling into place. Later that evening, Lauren and Amanda pulled up to Charlie's house, and the night stretched out before her like a world of untapped possibility. Charlie's house was impressive. Lauren could already hear light music drifting through the air as she and Amanda walked up the pathway, and she caught the warm glow of light spilling out from the backyard where the pool was. She hadn't realized it would be quite this kind of party. A dozen people were already there, including several men and a few women she didn't recognize. As soon as Charlie spotted her, he broke into a grin. Lauren, glad you made it, he said, his eyes twinkling with mischief. He gave Amanda a friendly hug, then guided them through the house and out toward the pool. Just so you know, he chuckled, the pool's fair game tonight. Did you bring a swimsuit? Lauren's eyes widened. No, I had no idea there would even be a pool. Charlie laughed, shrugging with a playful glint in his eyes. Well, underwear works fine as a swimsuit, or you can just go without. No judgments here, he said with a wink. Lauren felt her cheeks flush, but Amanda's enthusiasm was contagious. She immediately kicked off her shoes, giving Lauren a reassuring smile. Come on, it's going to be fun. Amanda said as she slipped off her dress to reveal her bra and underwear, diving in with a gleeful splash. Charlie poured her a drink, and Lauren let herself relax. The atmosphere was playful and light, just like a college party, with people laughing, joking, and clearly feeling as uninhibited as Amanda. Music pulsed through the speakers, the lights glowed warmly, and drinks flowed as if no one had a care in the world. Lauren felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. As the night went on, the laughter turned to flirtation, and a few games began. Someone suggested funny, cheeky dares, and the light-hearted teasing quickly shifted toward more daring challenges. Couples swapped partners to dance, others dared each other to peel off clothing in the pool, and before long, the boundaries Lauren expected had all but disappeared. People laughed and played along, and she felt herself caught up in the thrill. She kept glancing at Amanda, who was clearly thrilled and more than ready for the night to escalate. At one point, Charlie leaned in, his voice low as he wrapped an arm around her waist. "What do you think, Lauren? Ready for a new experience?" His hand rested comfortably on her back, his eyes twinkling as he hinted at things far beyond her usual comfort zone. Lauren hesitated, feeling her pulse quicken. The evening's energy was magnetic, and she felt herself drawn to the idea, tempted by the unknown. "I think so," she said, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. As the group naturally broke into pairs and trios, Lauren found herself in a circle of unfamiliar faces, some laughing, others openly flirting, the flirtation hinting at where the night was going. She looked over at Amanda, who was grinning, already eagerly leaning into the atmosphere. Amanda met her gaze and raised her glass in a silent toast, as if to say, "Here we go." Just as things began to turn more intimate, Lauren felt her anticipation falter. She looked around, and a strange unease began to creep over her. The idea of exploring new things had sounded thrilling, but in reality, with multiple hands reaching toward her, she felt her pulse racing, not with excitement, but with an unexpected sense of discomfort. She took a deep breath, summoning her courage, and backed away slightly. "Actually, I don't think I'm ready for this." "Not yet," she said, her voice gentle but firm as she began to pull on her clothes. A murmur of disappointment rippled through the group, but most were understanding. Charlie gave her a sympathetic smile and nodded. "That's all right, Lauren," he said warmly. "Maybe next time. Takes a little getting used to." Amanda, however, wasn't ready to give up. "Come on, Lauren. You are having a great time. Just relax. You'll love it if you give it a chance." But Lauren shook her head, her unease now clear. "I really can't, Amanda. I need a little more time." Charlie put a reassuring hand on Amanda's shoulder. "It's fine. Let's let Lauren take her time." Besides, he gave Amanda a sly smile. "I think there are still plenty of people here who would be more than happy to entertain." Amanda, sensing the shift, laughed and shrugged, quickly moving on. In no time, she was pulled back into the circle, and the night continued, even more adventurous than before. Lauren watched from the doorway as Amanda and a few others embraced the full, uninhibited atmosphere of the party, the laughter turning into active breathing and rhythmic movements. Feeling out of place, Lauren wandered into a quiet room, pouring herself a glass of wine. She sank into a chair, sipping slowly as she listened to the muffled sounds of the party from the other room. Her mind drifted to Mark, to his calm, unreadable expression when she told him she'd be with Amanda for the night. She thought of his support, his steady acceptance of her wishes, and for the first time, she wondered if she truly understood what he was thinking. Though part of her wanted to leave, she stayed, sipping her drink, her mind swirling with thoughts she hadn't fully anticipated. A few hours later, the party had wound down. The group emerged from the dimly lit rooms and drifted back to the main area, gathering around for snacks and another round of drinks, laughter and conversation filling the air again. Amanda spotted Lauren sitting by herself and wandered over, her smile wide and her cheeks flushed. "Hey," Amanda said, nudging her playfully. "You all right? Looked like you were having a quiet moment." She chuckled, her energy still high from the night's excitement. Lauren forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just not sure that kind of thing is for me." Amanda laughed and rolled her eyes. Everyone needs a little warm-up, that's all. Trust me, next time you'll feel right at home. But as the sky lightened and dawn began to creep in, Lauren felt a strange unease growing in her chest. Soon people started to head out, exchanging casual goodbyes as if they'd merely been at an ordinary gathering. Lauren slipped out quietly and drove home in silence, the thrill of the night replaced by an odd sense of dread. When she got home, the house was dark and still. She sighed with relief, thinking that Mark must still be asleep. She tiptoed through the living room and up the stairs to the bedroom, but as she opened the door, her heart sank. The bed was made, and there was no sign of Mark. A quick glance around told her that something was wrong. Some of his clothes were missing from the closet, and the familiar comforter on his side of the bed had vanished. She felt a knot of panic tightening in her chest. Then she saw it, a set of papers on the nightstand, the heavy black letters on top spelling out divorce. A wave of shock hit her, followed by a surge of dread as she picked up the papers, her hands trembling. This can't be happening. But now Mark's calmness over the past few weeks made an awful kind of sense. She realized it had all been part of his plan. A quiet strategic move to gather what he needed and then vanish from her life. In a daze, she called him, but the call went straight to voicemail. She tried again, her heart racing, but there was no answer. Over the next few days, she called countless times, left messages, even sent texts pleading with him to talk. But Mark was like a ghost, gone without a trace, leaving her with nothing but questions and regret. When she finally heard from him, it was only through his lawyer. The lawyer's responses were formal and to the point, leaving her feeling more alone and bewildered. And then came the next shock. At work, Lauren noticed her colleagues growing distant, their usual friendliness replaced by a cold, judgmental silence. Soon she learned why. Mark had quietly collected evidence of her relationship with Charlie, including text messages, photos, and even the information about the party. As the news spread, it quickly became clear that her company's conservative culture didn't take kindly to scandals, especially those that crossed professional boundaries. Her supervisor called her into the office, their expression grim, and informed her that her conduct was under review. The very job she dedicated herself to now felt on the verge of slipping through her fingers. When her day in court arrived, Lauren finally saw the extent of Mark's preparations. There, among the evidence he'd gathered, were private text messages, photos, and even notes from a private investigator he'd hired. The detective had meticulously tracked her movements, documenting every night out with Amanda, every flirtation with Charlie, and even her arrival at Charlie's house for the party. Lauren sat in stunned silence, feeling betrayed, trapped, and foolish all at once. The realization that Mark had known all along, had watched her so carefully while pretending to be preoccupied with work, was almost too much to bear. She was facing a harsh and humiliating outcome she hadn't foreseen, and all because she'd been too blinded by her own excitement to see the quiet storm brewing right beside her. In the end, Mark's calm acceptance had been her undoing, and as she faced the consequences of her choices, Lauren knew that her life would never be the same. The divorce was brutal. Every detail of Lauren's experiment was scrutinized and displayed in court. Her messages with Charlie,